But we take you to this story now. We go live to Freedom Park in Pretoria, where the ANC and its alliance partners are hosting Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel. The solidarity campaign is being held on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Sandton. We take you there live.
How can I forget hope? The Cuban activist in South Africa. Comrade President of Cuba, the comrade who have just spoken here, Comrade Hope, is a member of parliament. Is one of our foremost activists in the Cuban solidarity movement. And I want us to give him a good round of applause. And the entire Cuban solidarity group. I've seen Comrade Lechesa is now a photographer. I nearly forgot him. Our Deputy Speaker of Parliament, I saw him here. So we forgot him easily because he disappears, he becomes a photographer. And a member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party, and all members of the SABC, and all of you comrades, you look good, man. You look good. We have come here to show our solidarity to the Cubans. Us and the Cubans is forever, our solidarity and friendship. And comrades, we meet here today on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit. And we are happy to receive the President of Cuba, the chair of the G77 countries with China. And at this summit, in the time of this summit, which the world is undergoing significant geopolitical changes, a number of countries are knocking on the door to join BRICS nations. This will indeed have significant impact on geopolitical landscape. A lot has been said about the war between Russia and Ukraine and how it relates to geopolitical reconfigurations. Our position and message on that conflict has been simple and straightforward, that we are non-aligned and anti-war. Accordingly, we resolved in our 55th conference as the ANC that this can no longer be described simply as a Russia-Ukraine war. It is primarily a conflict between the US and US-led NATO and Russia in pursuit of the objectives of the so-called Wolfowitz Doctrine. According to this doctrine, the United States should not allow that any country in the world should have the possibility in the post-Cold War period to challenge US interest, especially its hegemony. In this regard, US geopolitical strategy has identified Russia and China as the two powers that must be contained, according to the Wolfowitz Doctrine, which undergirds US foreign policy. Now, comrades, this is the ANC conference resolution which made the US ambassador to lie about our country, that we gave weapons to Russia. How can we give weapons to Russia? It's Russia that must give us weapons. And it has now been proven that we didn't give weapons to Russia, and we still don't understand why is this man here in South Africa. As the ANC comrades, we believe in peaceful resolution of conflicts, particularly international conflicts, having learned from the devastations of all other such wars, including the world wars. Today we are here, comrades, with our historic solidarity partners from Cuba, who have spared nothing, including the lives of their own people, to champion our political freedom from colonialism and apartheid. We'll never forget the ultimate sacrifice by the Cubans in the Battle of Cuito-Cuinaval in Angola, which led to the historic defeat of apartheid armed forces. That is why when we come here at this historic site, in South Africa, you will find the names of Cuban combatants engraved here as a permanent feature of remembrance. Post-1994, Cuba has had, against the backdrop of its own socio-economic challenges, imposed by the unjust economic and imperialist blockade, sent doctors not only to South Africa, but to many other developing countries. This was more so during the height of COVID-19 pandemic. And very importantly, Cuba has trained thousands of students to become doctors. Again, not only from South Africa, but many other countries of Global South. To us in South Africa and the countries of the Global South, Cuba is synonymous with profound acts of solidarity. It was precisely because of this that our acts on solidarity during the campaign on the Cuban 5 arrested in Miami came naturally. As the ANC, we resolved in various conferences, Mr. President, to pledge our unequivocal solidarity with the people of Cuba. We understand that those who continue to benefit from the legacy of apartheid will never appreciate whenever we pledge material solidarity with Cuba. Hence, they will oppose such gestures by even going to courts. On the occasion of the 55th National Conference, we accordingly resolve as follows. The ANC should strengthen its solidarity towards the people of Cuba and intensify its calls for the lifting of the embargo. The ANC and the South African government should intensify its calls for the lifting of the embargo and unilateral sanctions against Cuba. The ANC calls on all ANC structures and the alliance to support and encourage South Africans to intensify the humanitarian campaign in support of Cuba through donations of non-perishable foods, medicine, and clothing. The South African government must be unwavering, especially when it comes to solidarity work and cooperation with Cuba. The South African government must communicate South Africans' unwavering support for Cuba and our cooperation agreements. The South African government should enhance solidarity by increasing trade between Cuba and South Africa on bilateral and multilateral level. On this occasion of BRICS Summit, we are pleased to host our comrades from the Communist Party of Cuba, as we did on the occasion of the BRICS Political Parties Plus Dialogue. We had in mind countries such as Cuba when we resolved in the 55th conference. The South African government should support the expansion of BRICS by admitting additional members on the basis of formally agreed criteria, principles, and values. As our departed icon, President Nelson Mandela, stated, we will not allow anyone to choose our friends. Cuba is a friend to South Africa. And this has been founded in the trenches of struggle for liberation and cemented by the sacrifices for our freedom and democracy. We are therefore here, comrades, to pledge our solidarity with the people of Cuba against the unjust economic and imperialist blockade. We know that the days of unilateralism are numbered, as the geopolitical tectonic plates shifts in favor of multipolar world characterized by multilateralism. We urge South African public to join the worldwide million signature campaign on the removal of the unjust blockade against Cuba. We demand the removal of Cuba from the list of terrorist sponsoring states, as this has no justification at all. We demand the immediate departure of the US from Guantanamo Bay. We demand that Cuba as a sovereign state must be treated like all free states, with the right to choose their friends and to determine their national interest. As we declared at the BRICS Political Parties Plus, we believe that an alternative world is possible, a world characterized by equality, justice, and the prosperity of all humanity. Indeed, we will together, side by side, in solidarity. We believe that victory is certain and Cuba shall be free. Aluta continua, amandla ngawetu. Thank you very much.